Today on Media Litter Sandwich,
we talk about hackathons, startup buses.
So, yeah, does anyone want to get on the bus and have a business in 3 days?
with you.
Well, maybe.
Welcome to Media Litter Sandwich, where media creators talk about the world around creating media, including networking, which we'll be kind of talking about today, and a couple other off-type things. I'm Toaden from Toaden.com, and of course, YouTube.com/ToadenK. With me is William from
AllAboutWilliam.com.
Joining us is, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Jay, and I'm with the startup bus.
Okay, what is Startup Bus?
So it's kind of this thing where a hackathon meets a bus ride meets entrepreneurship. The idea is we take total strangers who've never met each other, we throw them on a bus, and, they...
Real world! Oh, sorry, I'm from the MTV generation.
And so, right? It almost could be a sitcom. You know what I mean? But you throw them on a bus, they pitch ideas for the first hour, they organically form teams, and they build them into businesses with a launch and users by the end of 72 hours. So that's kind of like a really super high-level view of what the startup bus is.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit for those that totally missed the bus. The puns are flowing. They're rolling. They're definitely rolling today.
I like it.
So 72 hours. So it's a weekend competition.
Well, kind of. So it can go through the week. So this year, it's going through Friday, starting on Friday. Yes. And ending on a Tuesday.
Okay, so it's a really short time span competition where you get all the participants on a bus, and that's one team on the bus, or is it multiple teams on the bus?
So, like I said, everyone pitches an idea, and then some people are going to go and they'll choose to pitch ideas that they themselves don't truly believe in because they're really focused on finding the other people with ideas that they do believe in, and then they want to work on those ones. And so usually teams are anywhere from 2 to 5 people large, and they're about 15 to 25 people on a bus, so you can get anywhere from like 5 to 10 teams on a single bus.
Very cool. So you're competing against each other while you're on this bus.
Yes.
And what are you competing with? Like what's the competition?
So it's a hackathon, and I don't know if anyone necessarily knows, like, listening what a hackathon is, but the idea is that you come up with an idea, and usually it's a software-driven idea, although there have been physical products to come off of the bus as well. And, you're competing to build the best business off of that idea. So whether it's some really cool social media idea or whether it's some really cool insert the blank, whatever it is, you want to build it, and you're competing to build it the best and have the most business viability by the end of 72 hours.
It's an entrepreneurship competition.
Yeah, except it's like hackathon format, because very rarely, like, if you look at an incubator, they don't really say, all right, you've got a week and now you've got to build this thing. Like, they don't do that, right?
So with a hackathon format, that means you're actually building something, some kind of demo, some kind of alpha or beta thing.
So with the startup bus specifically, we actually have a requirement. So when you get, this year we end in New Orleans, right? Okay. You get to New Orleans and we just say, all right, you're done. Not really. No, there's actually a whole pitch competition. But in order to be eligible to pitch, you have to launch. And that means you have to actually have your product in the hands of, like, your actual end users or customers or what have you. So it's more than just build a prototype, it's build a finished product. And whether you experience great success or great failure, you have to release it to be eligible to pitch.
Okay. So, all right, let me walk through here, and hopefully I won't miss the stop.
Oh man.
He'll never end today.
No, we're gonna stay on time. We'll just be a little late.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So you have a bus. You get 15 to 20 people. They're programmers. They have different skill sets, usually in the realm of IT or software development.
Yeah, so there are 3 big personalities we look for on the bus. There's one we call a hustler. The hustler is somebody who can go and make business deals happen. Maybe they're hyper connected and they know people in various industries or what have you, and they can make those connections happen. Then you have your designers. Those are the kinds of folks who are very meticulous about the way things look and feel. They usually have user experience backgrounds as well as graphic design or audio or what have you. And then finally, you have your hackers, and they're the people who say, okay, well, we have to actually build like the back end that supports this, or we have to even build the front end that uses what our designer created, or what have
And
you.
hack's not a bad word. They're not actually hacking to like, hey, they're kind of doing something similar. Let me go see what their codes are.
Right, no. So they're not like, it's not like I'm going to the Pentagon and trying to hack into the government or do something like that. No, hacking in this case.
Would you like to play a game?
Yeah, right. No, it's more to the effect of, like, how do I hack this thing together? How do I, like, it's very much like jerry-rigging, except we're saying hacking.
Right,
Wow.
okay.
I don't know why, but I kind of want a Whopper now.
Okay, so
I'm not sure I understand that one.
The name of the supercomputer from it was called the Whopper.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, War Games.
Oh,
So,
yeah. You're totally right.
that one
Yeah.
went over my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
We both missed the
Yeah,
stop
but
on
That's
that
okay
one.
because our logo actually looks like a burger. So
Oh, there we go.
Huh, there's that.
We're gonna have somebody in the comments going, "Wow, he actually knows his stuff."
okay, so you got these personalities together, and they have to create a product, and they actually have some kind of launch, even if it's a soft launch. Wow, within 3 to 5 days usually.
Well, 3 days, because
3 days.
the fourth day you're in a pitch competition.
You're in the competition, so
And-
within 3 days.
Yeah,
That's
it's wild.
intense. I used to do 48-hour competitions for video where Friday night at 7 o'clock you're given a genre, line of dialogue, a prop, whatever. You have to finish a 4 to 8 minute movie, meaning
Ooh, wow.
write it out, act, edit everything on DVD by 7 o'clock on
DVD.
Sunday.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
So full
now they might
production.
change the rules now that not everyone has a DVD writable.
That's true. That's kind of weird how that is.
Yeah, now those
shifted.
rules change a little bit where it doesn't have to be on DVD, but a lot of times you'll end up having them screened like a month down the road.
So now I'm going to say this. Like, imagine, so that's like essentially what a hackathon is,
Yeah,
right? Like,
the
you have 48
difference
hours,
is
you're
all
on
that
a bus.
is pre-producing because
Oh.
we'll spend I'll spend 2 or 3. William's helping
Yeah,
out on one of
couple
these.
of them.
Yeah, he might have threatened my life on 1 or 2.
Just a one.
And then, we'll actually, because we get our team together and we'll spend like 2 months just pre-production. We don't know we don't know what we're doing per se, but we get all our actors like, hey,
It's a lot of
so when
preparation.
we're writing, we already know where our locations, we know what locations we have and what actors we have, and we're able to write to fit. You don't even have that.
No, you don't. And you have to imagine, like, all of the challenges you normally face in these kind of really intense, time-intensive competitions. You're now doing that on a bus where, you don't know. Maybe the internet goes out. Maybe you're going through a rural area and it just doesn't work out that way.
Oh, man.
Maybe, maybe you get motion sick. Like, there are
wow.
so many things that could go wrong, right? Which is kind of incredible because what you find with the bus is that everybody rides, right? And they're kind of doing their thing. And people set expectations for themselves. And they're put in a situation where there's so many things that are pit against them, and they still rise to those expectations
I fall
or rise
asleep.
beyond those.
If I'm in a car and I'm not driving, I'm asleep. So I'd literally be the guy where you go, hey, you. Hey, what do you think about this? I don't know, 42.
Yeah, right?
That's and you wake up later like, what the hell did you do? You said 42. I was joking.
Yeah.
Well, it worked. Oh shit, huh? Oh man, that sounds. And you've done this before.
Yeah, I have. So for me, I rode Startup Bus Silicon Valley last year, and it was wild because you just have no idea what was going to get thrown at you. Last year, we were supposed to get on the bus, and like a technical failure we got warned of like the day before happened. And so we didn't have a bus in San Francisco anymore. And they literally, like, the organization flew us out overnight to merge with another bus, right? And it was just like this wild thing, but it's kind of like the whole premise of it is that you have to be able to pivot and adapt and roll. And people who think they're bad at it actually find how good they actually are when push comes to shove.
Everyone on the left side of the bus, look at those people on the right side of the bus. They just joined us.
Yeah, right.
Don't let them have your snacks. They are the enemy.
No, yeah.
Just look at them. They're all with their luggage and their fancy baggage tags from Delta.
Yeah.
They were able to afford Delta.
No, that's so funny.
We're now passing the only thing you'll see for the next hour, and it's on their side.
No, seriously though. Well, it's really cool. You know, you're saying you're now passing the only thing you'll see, and like what's funny to me about that comment is that it almost associates a location with where you're going. But like you have to understand, like you ride the bus. Right. And you're so focused on the hack, right? Like you're so focused on building this thing up, right? And if you're the hustler, you're focused on making business deals or whatever, right? You have no idea where you're at. So I'm going to tell like a pretty funny story. At least I think it's funny. Maybe we're going to get a ton of dislikes in the comments.
We'll find
out. So it was really funny because, you know, we're on day 3 of the bus. It's grueling difficult. Like it is so challenging. We're discovering all these things with our product that we need to change. We're pivoting. We're doing all this junk. And I got sick, right? So I'm feeling miserable and like all this stuff's going on. My, sore throat, everything. And I'm also our lead pitcher. And we stop at a grocery store. And I'm like, cool, I can go in and get some quality of life things like water and maybe some cough drops. So I go in, I pick up my cough drops, I pick up the water, I get to the cashier and I'm making small talk with him. And then without dropping like a beat, I just realized I had no idea where I was in the United States, So I look at him and I'm like, hey, just really quick, what state are we in? And this face, like I get this guy who's like, clearly doesn't get paid enough to deal with people like me, right? And he just looks at me like, what is wrong with you, right? So he goes, well, that depends. What state are you in? And I'm like, oh man. Yeah. Turns out it was Mississippi, but, It was wild. You literally lose all sense of location because you're like so focused.
You're not only lost in your work, so you don't know what time it is. And you probably got all the curtains on the bus drawn, so you're not paying attention.
Well, we can't do the curtains. So like you quickly learn that the windows become like
your only light source?
Not just your only light source, but like your only real estate to do things. Where you need to write or do like whatever. So like at the beginning of the bus, the windows are empty, everything's cool, whatever. End of the bus, you have like poster boards all up there, duct taped on. You've got like tons of Post-it notes that are up there. You've got all this stuff kind of going on because you need to put things down or wire
Toad was here. Toad spelled with an anarchist A.
Yeah. No, seriously though, like you're just covering this whole thing and then probably, people driving by think it's like a hostage bus. I don't know.
You see bloody handprints on the window.
No, they like just see a startup bus logo on the side and they're like, man, I wonder if those people are okay. Like, I'm not sure.
We need to get on the startup bus, just do the handprints on the back.
Oh man.
So a bunch of strangers thrown together, come up with a business thing and a prop and a usable item.
Right, so a lot of them are software products. Like they're things like applications. Our idea last year, I remember when I pitched it, it was really funny. I was like, we swiped through all of our friends on Facebook, we swiped through potential lovers on Tinder, but we never actually like swiped through the places we want to go with our friends. And everyone has this huge difficulty of picking where they want to go.
Where do you want to eat? Or what do you, I don't know. What do you feel like tonight? Food? Well, no, at least we got that far.
Everyone thinks of that gif of like from The Notebook where he's like, where do you want to go for dinner? And she's like, it's not that simple. So we were like trying to solve that problem, right? And, like that's a software product. And at first we thought it'd be an app, and then we turned it into a chat bot, and like you never know how your idea is going to pivot.
I'd love to see a Tinder of that. Oh, McDonald's. Nope. Oh, look at that Chinese food. Gonna go and look at the profile. Mm-hmm. Oh no, that sauce is orange. I don't like the orange sauce on my chicken.
But that's exactly it though. Like, you know, and you don't want to have a conversation with your friend about it because then you feel coerced or convinced to go somewhere. You want to go somewhere that you naturally match on wanting to go to. You see what I mean? like I don't want to talk to you about it. I want to just know that hey, we both liked this place.
I think you just actually had a product there.
You know? So yeah, and we built my idea, and originally we realized like the barrier to entry on like getting people to download an app is extremely high. So we switched to a chatbot, and then now you have people. I mean, we had 150 users on our first day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was like one of those things where...
How did you promote that? How did you promote to get 150?
Yeah, honestly, I just sunk $50 into Facebook ads.
Okay.
Legit.
Yeah. It worked out. It got us like the traction we did. We got a lot of feedback that way too. But then we like part of the startup bus isn't just about validating your product with users, but also because like in this case, we're not making money off the users. What we were trying to make money off of was like, for example, suppose you had like an Italian restaurant and you have a steakhouse. They might not realize they're in direct competition. Right? But if you have like this chat bot talking to a group of 7 people and they decided on the Italian place and they both voted the same way for both restaurants, you might want to know why they chose that Italian place over the steakhouse, even though it had the same number of votes.
Wow.
You see what I mean? And so it's like
Italian, Pasquale's Kitchen, Olga's Kitchen, massage parlor. What's that on here for? Yeah. No, I just want to make that joke.
No, that didn't happen. But you know, like those were the insights we were doing. So like as a part of like, it's great we got 150 users in the first 24 hours, like instantly, right? But what was really cool was when you can also say like, hey, I have a letter of intent from 3 or 4 restaurants saying that when we can start producing these kinds of insights, that they'd be interested in purchasing them. Or, you know, in my case, I kind of was like hacker and influencer. I knew somebody who owns 250 quick serve restaurants. And so you get a letter of intent from somebody who owns 250 restaurants. And now you're like, wow, this idea might really have wheels. And what's wild is that every single idea on the bus, because they're like fighting for it so hard, because they believe in their idea so much during that bus ride and even after, right? Everyone is able to pull off these kinds of letters of intent. Everyone's able to find like a network where they can get that product validation and determine what they need to do for the next step. It is crazy. Like,
nice.
Like I said, everybody goes onto this bus with all this stuff pitted against them, and then they still find ways to succeed. You know?
Now you tell me before that the bus is making stops at several places. Where are they stopping?
Yeah, so the stops, there are like 3 kinds of stops. The first ones are rest stops, because the first rule of the startup bus is you don't number 2 on the bus.
It's the first rule of any bus.
Exactly.
Yeah, right? So they're rest stops because we need our riders to not break rule number 1, right? Then
By stepping to rule number 2, gotcha.
Yeah. And then the second kind of stop is at like various maker spaces or various co-working spaces, because a lot of people come from kind of like a professional background and they don't realize like how much stuff gets done at maker spaces. They don't realize how many people you can meet at co-working spaces. And when they're building their ideas, they don't realize like, you know, talent isn't just in Silicon Valley. It's at all of these kinds of innovative, disruptive places. And so you take these people on this journey where they're going, and they're not just going to like these co-working spaces, but they're pitching to those people. And they're getting extremely productive feedback from these people who, you know, are just anyone in the country. And then it kind of like changes their perspective on what it means to be disruptive, what it means to be an entrepreneur, and where you need to be in life to do it. They realize that I can do this literally anywhere in the country, right? So that's really cool. And then the third one is pitch events. So these are events that might happen at like a brewery or, you know, like at a restaurant's upper floor or what have you, where we get people who are business owners who also have done investments in the past. Maybe there's an Angels List investor there, who knows? And we go in and we basically let them pitch their ideas, and they get like a proper pitch, kind of Shark Tanked by whatever the crowd is.
Right.
So it's really cool. Those are like the 3 main kinds of stops.
Right. And now some people might, be listening to this, but like, yeah, you guys talk about mostly media stuff. Why are you talking about hackathons? And well, it's entrepreneur. You have to have an entrepreneur mindset, and it's no different. You have to be able to make a pitch wherever you are, and you might not even know you're making a pitch,
especially with media content. Everyone's trying to do it. You have to look at everything you're doing as putting your best foot forward to build your own brand up, right? And like that's a massive part of it. Like you're meeting people, you discover things you might have in common, and you're pitching what you do, and they're pitching what you do, and what they do, and you never know where those lines cross and what you can do to help each other. So like on the startup bus last year, we get on and we're creating our app, and then we're creating our chatbot, and we're doing this, and it's a chatbot.
What is a chatbot?
So it's like you go on Facebook and you like message Uber, for example, and you can schedule getting a ride on Uber by just chatting with the bot.
I did not know that.
You see what I mean? So like that's what a chatbot does. It's just something you talk to. It parses what you're saying, and it says, "Okay, I think this is the right way to respond."
Whenever I know I'm talking to a bot, I just say the most inappropriate things, just see how it responds.
I do the same thing, but my Amex bot decided that it didn't want to do that.
What was it called? Smart Bot or something? It was
no, Smarter Child from. Do you remember like AOL Instant Messenger?
Yes.
Smarter Child.
Yeah.
Oh man, bring back Smarter Child.
There's so many stuff like that where you just start typing in music lyrics and see if it knows the song. They all know Rickroll, by the way. So
no. So like the thing is you go on and like we have a chatbot. How much designing do you think you can do with a chatbot? How much media production do you think you can do with a chatbot?
There's no stopping.
Well, okay, you say that.
It's one of those things where one of my favorite questions to ask people is, how do you know when you're done? And it's one of those things where you don't know when you're done, I assume, because, all the pre-programs. What if someone asks, this chatbot for a date? How is it going to react?
No, 100%, and that's exactly it. So there are multiple aspects to it. We had a designer on our team, and he's, mostly focused on visual type stuff. But so he did all of our branding. He did all of that kind of stuff, which is important. That's all media production. Right? It's content, A, but then B, it's just like you said, it's like, okay, well, I asked it this question and it gave me the most cold response. I'm dying. My soul's just dying inside, right? And so he'd be like, oh man, you're right. And so even that alone, like, it's just amazing in technology and entrepreneurship how much space there is to just kind of get involved from a designer or media aspect of it. And then there's the whole, how do you actually promote this thing? Like when we did ad campaigns on Facebook to get our users on the first day, like our designer was going ham. You know what I mean? He's making things happen. When it came to our pitch deck, we had one of the sexiest pitch decks, and it's purely because he was so meticulous about everything that was going on in that deck.
Wow.
How do you prepare for this?
Oh, prepare for the startup bus?
Right.
It's funny because a similar question is, how do I know if I'm ready?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So the answer to how do I know if I'm ready is, even if you thought you were ready now, you'll leave the experience thinking that next time you'd be more ready. Right? So you're never actually fully ready. And so then you say, okay, well, if I'm never fully ready, how do I prepare? And usually the way I say it is you want to make sure you have really comfortable clothing and, prepared for almost any kind of weather. You have to imagine like we just had snow this morning and
now it's
in 3 days
degrees.
we're going to be in New Orleans, right?
Right.
So you have to be prepared for weather, and you have to bring your battle station. And in this case, a battle station is your laptop. It's all of the software you need in order to be able to create things, because even influencers need something to work with, whether it's like, even for them, maybe it's just Excel and lots of phone calls, whatever. But
so you only have so much space on this bus. So are there hey, everyone can only bring one bag and a laptop? Is there any things like that?
So there is cargo under the bus, which is great. So you can throw, it's like check-in, right? You throw that in, and then you've got your backpack, usually is what we recommend people do. it depends on the bus too. Like the Ohio bus, for example, is a maker bus. So we'd urge people to say like, okay, you want to do anything with electronics? Like bring all your electronics, bring Arduinos, bring whatever you need, bring a 3D printer if you need it. Like, you know, all of it, because if you need to do it, you're going to want it there, kind of thing.
I'd have to bring a studio. Great.
Cool.
You'd be amazed, like, when you're forced to downsize as much as possible, you'd be amazed. Like, I bet you could get it down to a couple of really nice microphones and maybe these stands and cargo and your camera.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely.
I'd even go down to a webcam, but that's me.
Yeah.
Or a cell phone.
You can get some really good webcams and cell phone cameras.
I think we
now.
got
Oh,
one.
my cell phone camera.
You got like
is
you
just
could take this guy.
Yeah. Is that one even a good webcam?
I don't know if it's a good webcam,
not
but
bad.
it is a camera.
That's not bad.
So it's really funny. There's one video on, I think, so we have a Startup Bus YouTube, but there are like a ton of videos, and most of them are pretty old. But one of the videos I remember seeing, it was really funny because one of the things we'll do is we'll just pull up to like a random mall. And we'll just be like, yeah, go talk to your users and to like go just field questions. And
Wow.
you know, like 4 years ago.
And that's technically, you know, soliciting.
Kind of. It's more of a
Yeah,
just like,
malls frown upon that, but it's interesting. You could do it, but
So we're doing it more to field the market than we are to like actually get them, because usually they don't have their product built. So for example, like 4 years ago, the video that I'm talking about, this group created a web app that would let you customize cereal, and then they would literally make it and ship it to you.
Nice.
Right? And so it's this like really cool idea. It's pretty goofy. It's fun. And so there's just this video of this guy like at a pier, and he's just cold approaching people like, hey, do you eat cereal? You mind if I ask you questions? And like, you just get such a range of responses. Like some people look at you weird, maybe think you're homeless because you've been riding on a bus for 2 days, and then like walk away quickly. Others are like, yeah, you eat cereal? Let's talk about cereal. Like, you know, you never know what you're going to get. It's pretty great.
I'm sorry, did you just say you're a serial killer?
Yeah, right.
With a C. With a C.
Suddenly the psycho music starts playing, and it's like bump. That's the worst psycho impression ever.
Wait, what's wrong with my pipes?
Yeah, right? Well, why is all this syrup here now?
Oh yeah, that was the original. Oh, what a man! That movie's been parodied so many times. And one of the things when you come up with ideas, sometimes it's hard to know if you came up with it or you copied it from somewhere. Is that something that is a common thing upon the bus? Like I bet you, like, you know, there's 4 other companies that do that, right?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question because it does happen. While you're on the bus, you do need to try to do as much research as you can determining who else is already in the market, and you need to see where they're at in the market. And that's part of the game. That's part of entrepreneurship, right? So for example, if I told you that I wanted to get into, and here's a cool idea, but like suppose you did VR for helping treat people with phobias, right? That's a very intuitive space because you get into VR, right? And you've got to do all sorts of really cool things in VR to help treat a phobia.
The video version's different than the audio version, by the way. Go ahead.
Okay. He's like got this, I'm going to describe it for the people in audio. You know, you got this guy, he's kind of like looking around with a headset on. It's not powered with anything. It's literally dark. Poor thing. Anyways, no, so like suppose you did VR for treating phobias, right?
Yeah.
When you look at that as an idea, you'd say, okay, well, who's doing this before? Well, I've researched that market, and when I looked into it like a year ago, there were only a couple of people who were like doctors at university looking at whether or not it was viable, and they did it like 7 years ago. So, like, you have to look and you say, well, are they actually competitors in the space or not? Or are there still competitors
just look
in the
into
space?
it and then drop out.
Exactly.
Or maybe they just watched Sword Art Online on the 2nd season where they sort of did a storyline on that.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So then there's like that aspect of it. So you might find people that kind of did it and dropped out. The other thing you might find is that you don't have competition, but you have people who did tackle it as a business, maybe survived for a year or 2, and then they failed. And then that begs the question like, hey, you know, I'm pursuing this idea that failed. Why should I still be pursuing it if someone else already tried and failed? You know what I mean? Like, is there actually long-term value here? Is it viable as a business? And oftentimes that comes down to a question of, well, what can I do different? What can I do better? Right. What can I do more correctly than they did? Or is it just a matter of they didn't have the passion?
And also, it's been 7 years. What's changed in technology?
Right. Or sometimes it's been only 1 year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the last one is, oh, shit, there are competitors in the space. What are my differentiators? Like, what makes me different? Why is it worth pursuing it if they're already in the space? They already have a leading advantage because they're already there. What makes me different enough to the point where I'm going to succeed? And that's when you have to start getting really honest with yourself. Like, can I actually be different enough? Is this still worth pursuing? Am I going into a space? What's their market share? Are they bleeding it? Do people like their product? Like, all these kinds of things go into.
And it's very stressful. Do this? You're just gone 3 days with barely any sleep on a bus, and you're asking yourself all these questions. You're probably pulling your hair out, or somebody is.
Yeah, so like to give you an idea, on my bus there was a group, and this is also when you start learning about your personality and how you take feedback. Because there's one group, and they were trying to create like a business card app, and I told them so many times, like, this has been done before and it never worked. Like, people don't do it. They still use traditional business cards. You can't get away from it. It stinks. It's happened many times. I hate to be a naysayer, but like, I gave them 3 examples.
Oh yeah, I used to go to these little business meetings. It was
like
when the local cities, when the when the conference, what they call it, city conference, whatever things.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like town halls or something.
Well, yeah. There's an actual conference organization. There's
Chamber of Commerce.
One of the Chamber of Commerces in this area, and he goes to a bunch of the business organizations. So he just comes up, like, oh yeah, one of my things is digital business cards, and he just has soft light and a camera, and he does it for everyone for free. I mean, that's not his main business, but he does it, and you're like, yeah. This is almost useless for me. But it's really cool. It's really cool.
It is really cool.
But one, you could do it yourself.
Right.
And you're right. A lot of people have tried it.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is that like this team, they still felt that they could have differentiators, and so they pursued it, and then they, like, after pursuing it, found a company that also tried all their differentiators.
Oh, wow.
You see?
Yes.
So, like, this is all part of the experience, because at the end of the day, they still didn't fail.
Well, if we put Snapchat filters on it. Yep, they did that too.
Yeah, right? No, exactly. Well, that's the thing, though. But then when you look at it, the way the bus works, they still pivoted on the 3rd day and came up with, like, the idea of adding social, like, networking, not networking, like, just, like, social, like, a whole social platform to it. So they're like, what if it were like LinkedIn, except it gets you closer to your information, and it was more focused on hiding and showing information to exact number of people? You know what I mean? So it's almost like, at Quicken we have Sift, right? It'd almost be like Sift, but more public, except you can retract and allow permission on the fly.
Right. What Sift is, for those that don't know, Sift is in-company profiling system. It's like Facebook for your company, and Sift is used by a bunch of companies that are
right. So imagine Facebook for your company, except now you can actually show people things like your personal phone number, and you can make, like, they can request that access, and you can choose to reject or accept it instantly. And I think that was a good pivot on their part. You see what I mean? So like even people who experience these extremely difficult like challenges, and they discover like, oh man, my idea's already been done, or oh man, my differentiators aren't actually differentiators, whatever. They learn how to pivot, and they learn how to make it happen anyways. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. My social media platform's different because you can wear wigs. Oh wait, there's one already like that. Okay. You can only communicate with movie quotes. Wait, we all already do that. Oh great.
Wait, we do?
What?
Is there like a stat on that where like it just turns out that everything we say also happens to have been said in a movie?
Yeah, about 80%. Just like about 65% of all percentages are made up on the spot.
Okay.
I really wish I had a good movie quote right there, but I couldn't think of one.
Yeah, I couldn't think of one.
Yeah. It had me at maybe?
That's probably a movie quote, baby. There you go.
Maybe,
baby. Maybe, ... There you go.
Maybe, baby, you'll be true.
I think there's an actual word for the ... I just don't know.
Ellipsis.
Oh, there you go.
Ellipses, yeah.
Yep. Yep. That was drilled in my head in one of my writing classes.
Yeah.
I think that's one reason you might have noticed on my Facebook posts that I love the ellipsis. I use it a lot. Well, I was also trained in one of my writing courses. Oh, you've already noticed that?
No, not this. Not knew this about you. I was going to say I knew this one person that I used to work with, and she would put them on all her emails at like the most random places. And be like, well, I'm really hoping that this goes well. And then it's like, that would have been a great sentence if you didn't put an ellipsis. Like, now I'm worried.
Because people translate it differently, and at some point I started using it because I would write as I talk, or just leave because they're pauses. I use them as commas sometimes, which is incorrect in most people's heads. Which is why
everyone interprets it differently. It's tough.
Right. Well, I used to write for pitches and for commenting and for voiceovers. You don't use a comma; you use ellipsis because it's just a more obvious pause.
I see. That's interesting. I can totally see that, especially,
And now you'll never think ellipsis the same way ever again.
No, I guess not. No. You've just disrupted my whole understanding. I mean, mine's been blown.
All right. Well, do you have the sheet of what we have so many conventions and events coming up. We actually wrote a sheet down.
We did, and I think it's in the other room. But I think this will be out after LTU.
Yep, this will be out right after we go to LTU Anime Con and Gaming Con.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Will this be out after PenguinCon?
No, this will be before PenguinCon. PenguinCon.
Yeah.
Because someone will yell at you if you mispronounce it. But I believe it's PenguinCon. Yep. They are May 4th, 5th, and 6th.
And I'm waiting for the joke on May 4th when I go to get my badge.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah, I know they did.
I was in that meeting.
When I saw that it was May 4th, I was like, they're going to hand out badges saying May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, you have to.
Yes, you do.
And they are playing Star Wars movie that day, too.
I saw that, too. It's like one of the first movies, I think. I could be wrong.
I know it's not Rogue One because they actually played Rogue One last year. So I think it's the newest one. I think it's going to be, I think they're playing The Last Jedi.
No, I meant it's like one of the first movies that they play is a Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, because we did that last year.
Yeah.
I say we, even though I'm not working with PenguinCon this year. But yeah, we're both doing several programs. I know what. So just real quick for PenguinCon, we're doing 2 meat layer sandwiches things. We're going to do how to set up a video podcast, and we're also going to interview Mark
O'Shire, I think is his name.
Yep, he's an author. Check him out. And I'm also gonna do a couple of YouTube panels, and you're gonna do
I'm gonna show how to take photos in bad light without using a flash, and because I have problems with flash, and there are other people that do too.
Oh yeah, especially you got those people. We've been in dark rooms or where there's like a music concert or something going on, and someone has a bright flash, it just blinds everyone and ruins the mood, everything.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm gonna do basic home repair. So
very cool.
And after that, we have. Downriver Comic Con, which is in June.
Yes, Downriver Comic Con, and then
June 2nd
June
and
2nd and 3rd. And then we have Motor City Steam Con,
which is in July.
Yeah, it's in July.
We don't have a date right now, do we?
Well, I wrote it down.
You wrote it down. Yeah. Well, if you look up Motor City Steam. Because it's not steampunk, it's Motor City SteamCon, but it is steampunk themed. We'll be there. I believe we're doing 3 programs, and we may also be helping out with other podcasts while there as well.
Oh, right.
And we're all over the place. You can always check our individual websites, such as William from
allaboutwilliam.com
and Toaden.com and MediaLiterSandwich.com. Jay, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, so I guess if we're going to talk about media, if you want to follow the Startup Bus and see what's going on, there's startupbus.com. We're on Facebook as well, just Startup Bus, and we're on Twitter as just Startup Bus. So be sure to hit us up there. I think that this is probably going to be like right before, like by the time this airs, I think it'll be right before the Startup Bus actually rolls. But if you're interested, just tweet at us. And, because maybe you're crazy enough to join like the day of.
Well, you said they're looking for more participants.
Yeah, so we are looking for more participants. We always are, just because you never know who you're going to run into. It's one of those things where we kind of like are constantly looking, and if it makes sense, it's a great thing to do. So
right, and you don't have to be a developer to be part of this.
No, you don't. I mean, even if so to give you an idea, last year the winning team, they came up with this thing called Yetigram. They were all performers, and they had 2 developers on their team. And the idea was that you would send a performer to someone as like a telegram or whatever you would back in the day, and they would perform something. So they would dress up as like Marilyn Monroe and then do this like super sexy, like sweet, awesome singing, right?
Right, or they dress up as like a Renaissance person,
exactly,
to deliver a thing from Budweiser telling you that you can't name your beer Dilly Dilly.
No, exactly. Like you do any of these kinds of things,
and yes, that did happen.
They created a platform for it, and they won last year.
Nice.
So, like, this was a team that had primarily designer or art or production type folks, and they pushed to a victory. So you really don't have to be a developer. You just have to think outside the bus, be excited to pivot, and experience
think outside the bus. I don't know. Sometimes it's a little smoky.
But yeah, that's all from me though, unless you have anything else to ask me. But I've had a blast here, so thank you guys both. Like, I really appreciate the time you've given me.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on.
Definitely.
Oh man. Well, again, you can find so where can they find you at?
So startupbus.com, and then Startup Bus on Twitter or Facebook.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're representing Startup Bus now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought maybe you want to give out personal Twitter or something like that.
I know me.
Yeah, because I know you have other projects that you are working on. We didn't talk on everything, but I know you have some that you have coming up.
Yes. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's, I believe, maybe you're going to have to correct this like a caption. It's terrible, but I believe it's JD Bird, so JAYDBYRD.
Okay.
And
I'll put in the description.
Yeah, make sure, I'll just give you my description.
Yeah, email me, I'll put in the description.
Yeah, that sounds better. I'm like terrible at this, as you can tell. No.
All right, and once again, William's at
allaboutwilliam.com.
I'm at Toaden.com, youtube.com/ToadenK, where you can see the videos of these podcasts. And of course, you can always refer back to any episode at MediaLiterSandwich.com. And we are on plenty of podcast apps, including Podknife, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean. I could go on, iTunes, a bunch of them. Not all of them, but we're on a bunch of them. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Oh, we've been sponsored. We were sponsored by Turtle Trinkets. We did talk about Wait, did we talk about Turtle Trinkets?
We did. Well,
we talked before we were recording. Turtle Trinkets, they're awesome. They're, again, today's sponsor. They don't sell anything on their Facebook, but they have spinners, they have necklaces, all sorts of pop culture things. They're all around the Toledo area, Detroit area. They're at conventions all the time. Look up Turtle Trinkets on Facebook. Seriously, nothing but love to Dave. Check them out. You never know what they're going to have over there.
He does come up with some nice random things.
Oh, dude, he's been pushing buttons on his Facebook recently, some really cool ones.
Oh yes.
Oh, I could just see someone on the Startup Bus jumping into like a trade show and just grab a bunch of stuff from Turtle Trinkets just to throw around, so you have something to look at, or just random things.
We'll have to look into them. No, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Turtle Trinkets, and we will see you probably at the next con. I know we're gonna see you guys real soon. Yep. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed our conversation, and may the algorithms be in your favor.